Okay. I'm gonna start recording. This is gonna be like really informal. Don't worship me. I'm just a squish. I'm a squish with an acai bowl that's overpriced. They didn't add enough honey. Why they acting like this damn honey coming out their paycheck? What the hell? I might have to go get
Okay.
some more honey. Wait a minute.
Bees, Uber, the bees.
A bee. Well, no, they said the honey come with it. Not the bees. Motherfucker, this don't even feel like a dollop of honey. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, back. This pissed me off. Hold on. Hold on.
Mm, looking Also, Rue, I'm happy to hear your voice again. I heard you.
That's gay.
I know. It's okay. I'm not ashamed. The fuck you mean, where's your money, bitch?
Sleepy, that's also very gay. I missed everybody
fuck?
to maybe maybe later, Sleepy.
What the fuck? Shay's over here saying I owe his ass money. What the fuck? For what? For what?
Okay,
Daff
I'm
said so.
back.
Okay.
Paid $13 damn for this fucking acai bowl.
What the fuck?
Plus a tip. Plus a tip.
What the hell? Girl.
Shit. Um, I just want to let everyone know that I am also recording the chat too. So,
Well,
oh
That's fine.
god,
We're just being a little gay.
it's
All right.
okay.
hey now, Shay did that out of the kindness of his heart, okay? Fuck you.
Where's my staff Earth channel? Yeah, okay.
No, he didn't. Oh,
Pride
okay. So
month is
he's just
done,
gonna go up to
y'all.
Little Wolf and be like, "Alright, Little
$50?
Wolf."
Fuck.
Let me straighten this out. Yes, straight Pride month. Yes.
Oh, I owe
Mhm.
you. Wait, 300 IRL dollars for the fucking TP? No, absolutely not.
Wait, are you guys bidding? Hold on. Now, this is 18.99.
I'm
Okay.
we did do a day auction before, so
Oh, I don't remember
Native
that
RP
shit.
DLC. Oh my god, I literally
Oh
can't.
god. This is
Anyway,
so for those that are new, this is our community. We are
this is our staff.
sane. Um, we are squishy. We are people. We are people. We are the children. Shit. God damn it. Hold on. Fuck.
Oh, what?
I'm trying to. Why is it not? There you go. I had to fix something. All right. Okay, we're squishy. So, let me look across. Okay, we do have a few of the newer people here, so that's good. Um, it's been a very crazy couple of weeks. Smiles. Rue's back from break. That does not mean to spam her with DMs and tags, please. We can't. We don't want to scare her away. Um, running on
too
3
late.
hours of sleep. I will ban you just so you can sleep. But okay. Um, chicken dance immediately. So damn Shay. All right. So it's been a very crazy couple of weeks. We have had a wonderful influx of people come into this community. We've recently gone from having like 20 to 30 on average to like in the 40s, upper 50s, to the point where, once we hit that 60 mark, I might have to up the service slots to about 75 and then see where it goes from there and go, and it's amazing, honestly. This is a far cry from where we used to be, where it was like fucking 10 people online.
At max.
at max. Like that was oh god, we were struggling for a
Hey,
little bit
man.
there.
All the ones who
Whew.
stuck through that shit, you the real ones, though.
Honestly, like there is no way we would have. Ooh. Oh god, there was a time where we were almost like gonna either merge with a different community or just put it, just quit it out and just save ourselves the embarrassment and the money. But now we're here, so this is fun. Woo! Yay, you guys did it! Yay! Um, save the server with my high okay. Oh god. So this is it's amazing to see all the new people and the influx of people. And I'm gonna try to keep this under an hour. Because I know restart's gonna be soon and that's our like hotspot for both EU and other people. So I'm
That
gonna
ain't
try
gonna
to like
happen.
yeah, it's probably not gonna happen. I've picked up on that. I'm gonna try to keep it, fairly straightforward with our points. There was a thread for y'all to put questions in, but did nobody do that, so I'm just gonna ignore that for the time being. Yeah, I'm calling y'all out. So first things first, we are gonna be addressing the new influx of people. It is amazing to have you guys here. So we appreciate you guys giving us an opportunity to kind of, welcome you into our community, welcome you into the role play scene. Many, create new friends and new stories, or bring in some of your old tales and utilize those to collaborate with our current community here. Um, your presence it does not go unacknowledged. Um and it's just amazing to see everybody here. Um, First things first, though, we have had rule changes. So I just want to make sure that, while I know that a lot of servers, a lot of their rules are the same. Let's be honest here. A lot of them are like it's just straightforward. No metagaming, power gaming, blah blah blah, this and that. But please make sure you read our rule set and don't just apply what you know from the typical average Red M server, because some of our rules are different. Recently we had a rule change regarding the maximum group size that you can do conflict or any sort of like action with, so it's one thing to ride around with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, y'all head to a function, head to the cookout, whatever, but once stuff starts to pop off, 4 people, pick your numbers ahead of time, or you better be able to make that decision in a split hot second if something ends up happening. um because we've already had issues with people having too many people in the situation. And yeah, oh, you're late? No, you're not late. It's okay, Damien. It's okay. Where are you? I mean,
Get
no
up
big deal.
here, bitch.
Get up here. Yeah,
There he is.
come up here. Give me 1 second.
I apologize.
I hate when people are speaking to me. So yeah, we've already have a PP explosion chamber. goddamn. So we've already had issues with the possibility that people are interacting in group sizes larger than 4. Um, it's gotten to the point where we're starting to have a much lower tolerance in terms of leniency, because it was one thing to be lenient when we had like 15, 20 people, and a lot of these people were from the OG days of the server, very early days and stuff, and everything was kind of like, it's kind of like, hey man, relax, and type of stuff. Now that we have a larger community, of course you can stream this. Now that we have a larger community base, we have to be very careful on how we utilize our leniency. We have to be more firm with our standards and with our rules, because it's already enough to try to beat out some of the old habits. If we start having people come in and they're seeing people doing these things to go, oh, I'll probably just get a slap on the wrist, that's going to create very toxic, unsavory behavior that can inevitably ruin the server in the long run. or it can cause a lot of ruffled feathers when someone finally gets pinched for it and they go, well, you didn't do it for this, this, and that, and blah, 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 which that's on us. That's my bad. Usually I'm too generous of a person. My staff will
Mm,
tell you this.
mm.
Um, I'm too understanding because I don't want to be like certain servers that will ban you without question, without letting you have a chance to defend yourself. Cough. I said it. So that's something that we're taking a more firmer stance on is punishments. Um, which quick announcement, if you currently have reports or tickets open, we are going through them. Just a lot of stuff has been happening over the last week to cause a number of delays. So don't worry, we're going through the bugs. Thank you, Rue. We are going through regular general support tickets and requests. We're also going through player reports. If you haven't had certain things actioned, trust me, they will be actioned on. We ain't forgot about you. We're just busy. Um,
We're just trying to take our time with this shit.
Exactly. Because the last thing you want to do is rush a number of these things and it just causes a very nasty snowball effect. Rule changes as well. We're trying our best not to implement a rule about guns, right? Before 2.0 and 1.0, dual wielding was actually locked behind a group role. If you did not have the group role, you could not dual wield. If you were dual wielding after being taught and going through the channels IC in order to be able to have that privilege, you either had to pick between dual wielding or using a sidearm and a long arm. Um, we want people to try to be, a little bit more immersive and realistic to things. And also, if you're dual wielding, some people say there's an advantage, some people they say there's a disadvantage, whatever. But if your character has the capability of dual wielding, why are they pulling out a shotgun in a fight? Stick with your weapons. Let's not try to do no quick exchange of stuff. Like pick one or the other. If you're gonna be a gunslinger, be on your gunslinger flow, right? Um, if you're gonna carry your long arms and have your sidearms, unfortunately, I've tried to mechanically limit it to where you only have one long arm on your back because I can't stand to see two long arms on your back. That's a whole other thing. Um, but just pick one or the other. You don't need all three. If you're gonna do all three, put one of your guns away, X, Y, and Z, especially since there is a limit to how many weapons that you can carry on your person in your inventory. Let's see. If we continue to have to address people with that, we are going to make a hard rule. And that's going to be a very awkward ticket to make where we're just like, why are you using a shotgun during a gunfight when you literally just like blazed somebody with two pistols? Like, was that really necessary? So yeah. Re-engaging after incapacitation. I don't know why this has to be stated. Um, in our rules, we have fought long and hard with retaliation after being capped, medical RP, and things like that. We try to take our medical RP seriously with certain caveats because, let's be honest, a lot of the injuries that people would get, you would not survive from. We are trying to be gracious with it, with the leniency in regards to that. If you get capped, it states in the rules if you are injured from a PvP scenario, you cannot retaliate for 24 hours. I don't know why we are seeing people engaging in conflict beyond verbal confrontation after being incapacitated. You would think it's common sense. Unfortunately, it's not. I know I sound probably a little bit condescending, but the fact that I have to reiterate this is a bit annoying. I understand that people can determine their injuries, but it blankly states in the rules if you are incapacitated as a result of a conflict, do not retaliate. If your character wants to talk that shit, okay, you talk that shit, but you should not be trying to beat, shoot, X, Y, and Z within that 24-hour period. Now, if those people initiate on you, and I'm talking about initiating with violence or something like that, not shit talking. I'm talking like actual initiating with guns and stuff like that. You can defend yourself. But if you are initiating, you are going to be pulled into a ticket for re-engaging. I don't know how they did it in other servers. That's just not how it's going to work here because we are in the interest of pacing. We don't want people just doing stuff. I almost cuss. We don't want people just doing stuff back to back, retaliating this, and that, and so on and so forth. We want people to take their time with this stuff. You don't have to get the last word in. You don't have to, prove something. You can wait a day, you can wait 2 days, 3 days, get your numbers up, come back with your 3 goons, and fuck some shit up, right? But you don't have to retaliate or initiate any additional conflict in that moment. The only exception being that of a agreed upon spar, right? You taking it to the pig pens and stuff like that. But if it is a PvP scenario that is not the result of some sort of like agreed spar, don't retaliate. It's utterly unnecessary. I have to cheat my ear, Jesus Christ.
It also makes my doctors feel like a pickup mechanic, so please don't fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest thing that we have done for this server is ensuring that our law, medics, gunsmiths, blacksmiths, all of the whitelisted, especially the medics, do not feel like mechanics. We encourage them to take time off, go off duty and don't respond to calls, just do your own personal heartbeat, have a personality and role play outside of your character's job because that is what you are. You are a character here. Your job is not your character. We don't want you to feel like a mechanic. We want you to have a story to where you can actually have that character development. And if we keep having people going back to back, getting in cap back to back, doing this and that, it burns people out. And Prax, Turner, a lot of all of our staff and our admins here have done too much work to rebuild um roles such as medical and law just to have people get burnt out or feel like they are being treated like a mechanic. The moment that stuff happens, we're going to have, we're going to intervene. And you don't want us to have to intervene because if it gets to that point, it's not going to be it's not going to be really good for anybody. It's not going to feel good as the fact that we have to tell people stop doing this. You're making people feel like mechanics. It's not fun. It's not great for the server and the health of the server. Um so, oh, Sigrid, bring his ass up here. Get up here. Yeah. Um Welcome my new staff member. Um so yeah. Um, so don't treat any of our whitelisted jobs um like a mechanic. Horse trainers. This is a big one. I know that we had to wrestle a lot for horse trainers to be able to get the level of RP that they deserve and things like that. When a horse trainer basically tells you it's going to take a number of days in real life time to train your horse, that is because there is actual role play involved. It's not just a mechanic where we're walking a horse around or doing a couple of jumps and running around the state. No, they are actually doing role play. They are doing role play around breeding. They are doing role play around mares being pregnant, getting studs. They are doing role play for medics and all that stuff. Don't they're not mechanics. No one is a mechanic here. The only mechanics that you have are the actual NPCs. Those you could treat them like mechanics, right? Um them guns ain't getting engraved by themselves. And this goes for every whitelisted role. Make sure you are treating these people as if they actually have lives outside of that job. They have lives outside of the game. Because I guarantee people like myself, we go to work overnight or all day or so on and so forth. We don't want to come back to a server to where we have to treat it like our real life job too. Running a server is an actual job. We don't get compensated for it. The money that we see coming into the server is from donations that help us keep this thing running. That is it. This money doesn't go toward ourselves. We don't have little staff pizza parties or anything like that. It goes towards scripts, it goes towards server maintenance, and it goes toward making sure that I can keep the lights on or pay a dev to fix scripts or things like that. So just remember that, please. For gunsmiths, native crafters, blacksmiths, it takes time to make certain things. Furniture maker, it takes time to make stuff. You're not gonna tell a furniture maker, "Hey, I want you to make an entire log bench carved into a bear," and expect that to be done in 1 hour. That's not what we do. Train conductors, there's actually a lot of work that has gone into trains. Um, a lot of training that is going into it, oil gathering, business, finances, and all that stuff. You know, make sure you are not treating these people as mechanics. If there are trains running, say, you know what, let's go on a train. Use the train for events. I had a train conductor, Teddy and Grace, help my character transport a horse from Armadillo all the way to Emerald Ranch. Like, it's possible to do fun stuff like that. We recently had a murder train, and a lot of people got involved with that. Please use the trains. Please role play thoroughly with your blacksmiths and gunsmiths and horse trainers and all of these roles. They are there for you to interact with and have story with. They're not there for you to utilize them as a mechanical benefit. Yeah, in 1.0, we role played having an entire drill brought out to New Austin to create a well. And when I tell you that, what is that RP took what, like 2 hours, 2, 3 hours or something? We
Uh,
had people hauling stuff and all that.
I mean, I would say cumulatively it took a couple of weeks because not only did we do
Oh yeah,
that,
true.
we put out the fires and then moved shit out to Saint Denis to the dump. Like it was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like we had the spooky train. I don't know if anybody still has that VOD at all, because I know it's been a couple of months and Twitch recently changed how they say VODs. So I'm not sure if anyone has that highlighted or streamed or what, but it was amazing. So use your trains, get your gunsmiths, your saloon owners and stuff like that involved into things. You want to rent out a saloon for a night for a party? Freaking do it. You know, there's so much stuff that we can do that doesn't rely on mechanics, and we need to get back to that. Because before let's see, I started Random 2, 3 years ago. We didn't have all this nice stuff, okay? We had some bare
Eh,
basics and things were starting to grow and stuff like that. We didn't have a lot of this stuff.
we
Um,
had slash me's.
yeah,
That's it.
like slash me's basic horse stuff. We didn't have this horse customization. We didn't have all this stuff. A lot of it was people using their imagination, and that's what we need to get back to. Your mechanics are your aid. They are not your overall codependent crutch. Please remember that. Mechanics are just meant to aid you in your role play and growth as a player. Hoarding money, for example. Now that Raphael's mentioned it, hoarding money, for example, is not really going to do you any good, because once you have what, tens of thousands of dollars, what are you going to do with that? Like, I'm confused. You know, so don't focus on grinding, don't focus on mechanics, focus on utilizing your imagination to get stuff going. Um, Supernatural RP, we do not allow supernatural RP. If you want to scream like you're some crazy person saying you're a vampire and doing this, and that, sure, but you are a regular, mundane human that's probably freaking schizophrenic or something like that. I don't know. So going from that point, RP standards. A few of the biggest things about this server is, one, we are an 18 plus server. That means that you are sometimes going to be surrounded by certain content that you might not like. As stated previously before a lot of you came in, if you are not okay with certain content slash OOC, hey, I'm uncomfortable, so people can move something along, walk away. You know, if you're able to walk away from the scene, go ahead and walk away, take some time to yourself, or DM the person to kind of let them know that something made you uncomfortable. That way they know in the future how to tailor their role play to kind of make things a little calm and stuff. Um, let's see, torture RP. That, just to reiterate, you do have to ask for permissions via slash OOCs or DMs. Please know that if you are torturing or attempting to murder someone's characters or things like that, and they actually do perma, you could face some very heavy consequences. That's not for you to cry about. Don't dish what you cannot take. Slow burn and pacing. These are our biggest number one things. We are not GTA. We are not Red Dead Online. When I say slow burn and pacing, I'm not saying you need to take an entire month to have a gang on gang war play out, right? I'm not saying it has to take 1, 2, 3 months to do that. But what we're saying is make it make sense. I've watched streams, and I know we've watched streams of people in different servers in Redem where they are hitting each other back to back to back. I'm talking every day when that streamer is on, they are getting hit by one crew, and then that crew goes to retaliate, and it's almost like where is where's the pacing? Where's the role play beyond the conflict? So yeah, 1 to 3 months actually does sound good. Now I just think about it. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that we're not expecting you to take an entire year to finish up an arc between groups. But we're also saying I don't want to see an entire war play out over a course of a week. When you're doing a character that is a murderer and you're murdering, NPCs before you start going to actual players to see if you actually can, if you might actually murder a player. Um, we don't want to see that playing out in a few days. Take your time to do stuff. Conflict. If you get encapped, like we said earlier, regardless if you get encapped or whatever, take time between retaliation. You don't need to retaliate the same day. If it makes sense for your characters, depending on the situation, sure, but make it make sense. If one of your group members, like in one of the application questions, if one of your group members has had a near death experience as a result of an encounter with another group, is it gonna make sense for your entire gang, or at least 4 people of that gang, depending on the size, to either stay with that person, make sure they're getting home safely and taking a step back to reassess the situation? Or is it gonna make sense for you guys to go out guns blazing and retaliate that same night? Like, please think about your actions before you do them. This goes for crims, this goes for law, this goes for civs. For any sort of role play scenario, take your time. Um, pace it out. Nothing needs to happen at the same day. I know some people might have some FOMO or things like that. You're gonna have to get over it. There is no reason that you need to have all of the action done within a
Mhm.
few days' time. It is more satisfying to feel, one, that you don't have to do conflict every single day, that you don't have to do action every single freaking day. And two, it feels more earned when you finally get to that point in role play where either maybe you've won a scenario or maybe you've lost a scenario, but that scenario loss has resulted in some exponential growth for your character. Pace yourselves, right?
It
Um,
also wears on law too. It
mhm.
gets tiring to have constant, you know, oh, this happened, and then right after that happened, and then, oh, while you were trying to take care of this, this happened. Like, it's not fun, guys. They're trying to do their jobs, I see.
Mhm.
So just
Yeah,
take a
like,
chill pill.
in that same token, exactly. Like, one of the things that can be detrimental to a lot of people, um, is that when you do conflict, it's not just the people that you're targeting that are going to be affected. Law's going to be taking statements and doing this, and that. You're going to have medics, coming in and having to treat these people. And if it's just this constant everyday thing with the same people as a result of the same arc or whatever, it's just not fun. Um, People shouldn't have to literally set aside everything just to focus on, let's just say, one group or these 2 groups as a result of something. So just please pace it out. your characters are more than their conflicts with other people. Your characters are more than their jobs. In terms of pacing with whitelist jobs, take time off. Take a day or two in between actually doing your job, your character's job, so that you can actually do other stuff, build relationships, get married, have a family off server. You know, go on adventures, do stuff beyond your character's career, do stuff beyond crime. If all you have for your character is just, yeah, they're a criminal, and that's it, it's just kind of like, okay, well, now what? If all you have for your characters, oh yeah, they're law. Well, do you have any other story beyond that? No. I clock in and I do this, and that. It's not fun. There's no dynamics being built there. It's just kind of like, what are you really here for? Are you here to build story or what? Um, let's see. Going for that point. Um, Role play over gunplay and violence. There's a difference between fucking around and finding out versus extending a scene. Um, I'm trying to figure out the best way to address this. If you feel targeted, if the shoe fits, I don't know what to tell you. So there's a difference between role play over gunplay and violence. Within the last week or two, we have had a number of conflict scenarios where I'm going to be honest, some of the role play has been subpar. Um, Gunplay and capping a character will end the scene. That is not to say that the role play is over. I know that is a big thing. The role play isn't over. Role play is still happening, right? You're role playing your injuries. That's a whole entirely new scene, right? But gunplay and capping a character with melee weapons or whichever, it it there's what is there to build from that, right? Um, when someone is smack talking your character, and let's say you all have interacted for like 30 or so seconds, and your character says, you know what, F this, and pistol whips them until they are handicapped. Where's the role play in that? I understand that some people are quick to draw, quick to have a temper, but in the interest of role play, extend the scene. I know some people might get heated as a player for actions or things that people say or do to their character. Get over it. It is role play. It is a game. I'm sorry. That sounds mean, but I say this to say that there are some times where somebody does something because it pisses them off as a player, not as a character, and we need to stop that. Guns, like Phantom has said, tend to get drawn too quickly. You need to savor the tension. You need to be able to just draw some stuff out and see what comes from that. Maybe someone is shit talking your character because maybe they had a bad day, but because you decided to just pistol whip or just shoot them in the head, and which I don't know why you would do that, because then if you get a battery or an aggravated battery or a manslaughter charge or whatever, attempted, I don't know. Don't sit there, cry, bitch, and complain if you get arrested about it or if they retaliate against you. I don't know what to say. Um, we need to be able to have role play take time to evolve to violence. I don't care if your character has a quick temper and is known to anger or is cutthroat. You can be cutthroat, you can have a quick temper, but you can also role play the build up to that. We're not about RDO and all this stuff. I know some of you guys have seen those videos where people are trolling red MRPers. I know I've watched a couple of them because some of them are actually freaking hilarious. Um, that is not what I want us to be. That is not what our staff and our other admins want us to be. We don't want people capping people back to back to back to back. Now, if someone comes up to you and they keep initiating on something and they're not getting the point, then at that point, I don't really know what to tell you. I don't really know how to fuck around and find out. But if you can extend something get to the root of the issue or give them multiple chances to get the fuck out of your face or give them a significant warning, give them some time to act on that warning and then, go, okay, you know what, screw it. And then and smack them around a bit. Yeah. In terms of gunfights, I know that staff and admins and the entire team has had a consideration for creating a possible rule that the first shot to initiate a gunfight must be a miss. Or if you're fanning the hammer, it must be a miss. That it's too much policing, right? We don't want to have to go to that route. If your idea of a gunfight or starting a gunfight is to pop a head off or end cap someone as quickly as possible so you can get the biggest and baddest shooters out of that scenario, you are not conflicting for the right reasons. You're just doing win mentality. And that is something that we unfortunately have to crack down on. If we see win mentality, we will address it. If it becomes a constant pattern or an issue with you, you could face a temporary or a permanent ban because for the health of the community, there is no reason why you have to engage just to savor or just to get a win every single time. If you need to get a win every single time in a scenario, you're not role playing for the right reasons and you're probably compensating for something. And that's not something that we as a service should have to deal with. Um Good role play at the end of the day is about creating a story. Where's the story of having a 10-second interaction with somebody just to end cap them? When you are approaching someone as a result of a previous scenario, that previous situation is not initiation carried over. I don't care if someone attacked your character's wife and you and the family go out to go find them. That is not your get out of jail free card for initiation. Now, it's something different if both parties have previously talked about, oh, well, my character might find you at some point in its own site, and you have agreed to that. That is when that's when the role play over rule play comes into play. But that is only when you explicitly ask, hey, we have a gang war, our two groups are against each other. If we see you, are you okay with like a 30-second scene before we pop things off? Are you okay with, a couple of words and stuff like that? That's when it's been agreed to. But if that's not been agreed to at all, don't do that. Um, if you want to whiff shots in a scenario, whiff shots in a scenario. But if another group is not whiffing their shots, you should not put yourself in a position to where you're just kind of giving them a free win. This is probably going to be a little controversial when I say that, but there have been instances where people whiff shots only to realize that the group that they were fighting had no intentions of doing that. And then they end up very upset because it's like, well, why am I making an effort to try to extend this situation, but you're just trying to pop everybody's heads off and catch that win. So read the room. Um, Always try to extend the scene as much as you possibly can. Always try to extend a role play scenario as much as you possibly can. Always try to extend a story arc in a way that kind of makes sense and is good, and is well paced for a lot of people. Um, but please, we need to role play over gunplay and violence because it is not fun to have people making tickets, have our DMs or our chats in our Discord filled with people being upset that people seem to be going toward guns and melee weapons and fist and just end capping over actually having a scenario where there's a back and forth. And I'm not talking those shitty 10 seconds or 30 seconds. I'm talking about let's get a couple of minutes of some back and forth, of some tense silence, of some, you know what? Fuck it. After like 5 minutes of back and forth and then pop, pop, pop. You know what I mean? Like some of these people in the chat are saying, some characters aren't friendly or could be grumpy and things like that. But, you know, stop escalating it to needing to get that W. It's not fun. And sometimes it's just very one sided and it's overly selfish as a role player. We are here to collaborate and work together to build this server, to make it feel lively, to build all of these stories. You are the main character in your own story, but you are the side character in everybody else's. Sometimes he might be like, the protagonist or antagonist, but you know what I mean, right? So don't treat it as a, well, this is my badass moment. I'm the main character of the server, blah, blah, blah. Don't treat it like that, because that is the quickest way to find yourself ostracized by community members, assuming that they aren't reporting you and we don't know about it as staff, or to find yourself kicked out because you're not taking the health of server into mind. Shooting someone also, like Sigrid says, is a big deal. Encapping someone with weapons such as knives, tomahawks, axes, whatever, dragging people with ropes, these are a big deal. If you cannot deal with the consequences of those actions, do not do them. Do not cry about the consequences that could come from that from law. Do not be upset if that person's group goes after you and tries to F you up as a result of your actions. If you can't take it, do not dish it. All right? I want to reiterate, as a result of some previous conversations from 2 weeks ago, if you actually murder somebody and it's proven that it was a plan, thought out, the intent to murder was there and all that, or if you commit treason, your character could either be executed or, and this is up to you as a player, or they can be sent to Sisika for life. Maybe with parole, I don't know. That's probably never gonna, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. But you can escape Sisika, just understand that the consequence of that action is that you're gonna be wanted and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna tell you guys how to escape from Sisika. I'm just gonna say just read the rules about it. Um, let's see. Is there any other points that I need to make about the RP standards of the server? Prex, Damien, Rue?
I would say just be cautious of MedRP. I do look over med files and I get it. You know, not everybody is a medical expert. There are a lot of things that are swept under the rug just given that it's RP. There's a lot of things that are gamified, modernized to an extent. Okay? But if it's just way too out of whack, I'm gonna be saying something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't take injuries that realistically make no sense for you to just hop up and be okay from. We have injury guides for a reason. If you don't know where they are, you can either find them in the TTRP official chat. They are linked in the rules, I believe. If not, we will go ahead and repost that. There's great information in there, or you can even ask the doctor at the time that is treating you, either slash OC, hey, how long should healing take? Or just ask the doc, hey, how long till I'm up on my feet, or can do this, and that. And they will give you a good estimate as to how long you would be able to before you can actually get up and start, your character's healed or fully healed or so on and so forth, right? Don't give your characters injuries that realistically, if they are running around doing this and that, they would end up choking and dying or so on and so forth, or worsening that injury, okay? Um, take a break, let your character heal. There is a blessing in just being able to just kind of sit down as a result of med RP and look at somebody going through something and be like, yeah, that's not my fucking problem. I'm on bed rest, you know?
Yeah. Even to an extent, even sometimes grazes. I, me personally, I'll even still at least slow down my character a little bit. Maybe not do certain other things, but like, guys, if your character's already injured, why the fuck y'all getting into shit that's gonna hurt you again? Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Native RP. Yes, that is a big thing. Do your research. This is not a server where we tell you guys that you cannot portray real tribes. If you are going to portray a native indigenous character, whether that is American indigenous, South American or North American, whether that is indigenous of other continents that have immigrated here, Do your research. We have 2 to 3 um amazing individuals of this community that are well researched that we have hand chosen to basically be our native RP you know, gurus in a sense, native RP, mentors for people to, ask about certain things or bring certain things to our attention. Um do your research. Do your research about the language, about the customs, about the culture. Do your research about how indigenous were in 1899. Okay. We understand that some group, some people like to maintain a more maintain a demeanor that is more earlier in the history because maybe their characters want to really hold on to that history. But please, if you're coming in portraying an indigenous character, do your freaking research. There is no excuse for ignorance when we have too many resources available to you. We have people here that are willing to help you with your research. We have people that are here to talk about things. Um, we have people here that have plenty of resources. You have Google, you have Chat GPT that can literally take information and dumb it down to a level that is just easy to digest. There is no excuse. We have native RP guides. There is no excuse. Um
On top of that, we have two people that we just appointed to be, lack of better terms, sort of like a native RP point of contact.
mhm.
They're non-staff, but we did pull them in a ticket and ask if they would agree to be in this position so that they can be points of contacts for you guys to ask them questions,
Mhm.
bounce things off of them, stuff like that, because they want the native RP on the server to be respectful and more realistic and stuff like that. So that is
Mhm.
what they are there for. Please utilize them, but also don't, like, you know, drive them crazy either.
Yeah.
I will
We
also
uh
say Laumi brought up a good point that that could be expanded to everything to do your search
Yep.
when it comes to time appropriate roleplay.
Mhm.
Uh, so just bear that in mind.
Exactly. Like to add on to that point, it's not just about indigenous of this country or other countries. Everything that you do, certain language, phrases, slang, all that stuff, do your research. Again, like I said, there's no excuse for ignorance. Yeah, some stuff we don't know, some stuff we're not going to remember. It's a lot to remember about 1899 and stuff, but do your research. If you're going to play a character that is not of your actual heritage in real life, for example, if you are a non-black person playing a black character, if you're a non-Asian person playing a Korean or a Chinese character, do your research. Don't just cookie cutter it out and just improvise it. Do your research as to what was going on in that time period, what some of the ideals and beliefs would be, so on and so forth. If your character's from another state, do some research into that. Offer some little cookie crumbs for people to be able to learn from. You will be surprised as to how many people you can learn from in this server or learn cool little facts and stuff like that. Um, and also, I was gonna touch on that, Scrungus. Please don't try to make up tribes and cultures. We have more than enough in this world for you to utilize in your role play. Don't just kind of make something up because it seems cool, or seems great in concept. Because it that can lead into some really muddy territory. As someone
Mhm.
that has been in a server that has basically that had banned and made it so that people were not able to represent actual real life cultures and expected you to kind of make your own tribes and things like that. To me, that was like cultural appropriation light. In theory, it's good. The idea behind it is good in nature, but you have too many resources, things like that, to where you don't need to do that. Um, please don't bash communities. This is not me to bash other communities. This is just me saying that that's not how we do it here. There are plenty of resources and things like that to where you can make a portrayal respectful. Um, you don't need to make stuff up. Do your research and stuff like that. That goes for names because in some cultures names are extremely important to the point where you can't even utilize someone else's name, right? For some cultures, feathers, such as certain tribes, they hold a significance to that group to where you probably won't utilize certain feathers for this and that. There are rituals and practices, Mexican, indigenous American, Choctaw and Apache, Comanche, Dene. You have Chinese and Japanese, all these cultures, Black American and African American, all this stuff. There is no reason for you to just not just do your research and make sure that you are respectfully portraying um that culture and that group.
Mental
Um
health as well.
that too. Yes. Like what were we gonna say about mental health? Huh?
Well, I mean, it's literally stated in the rules. Please do research on
Oh
mental
yeah,
health if you're going to make a character have a mental illness. For the love of God, please. Even certain conditions, maybe didn't have the name that they do today.
mm-hmm.
Certain conditions may not have even been discovered yet, but still were a thing. For instance, I had a character who was schizophrenic. I did research into was schizophrenia a discovered term yet, or discovered. Um, what am I trying to say?
Like a basically like a term that was the terminology that was used,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, you're
Was
right.
it terminology? And I come to find out that no, it was not called schizophrenia. It was considered something else and kind of put into like a generalized thing. So
Mhm.
just be respectful about it because we all have our own mental health shit, and being just some crazy wackadoodle is not the way to go.
Mhm. Um, what I will say is that we'll look into possibly creating some forums. Like if you have information about certain groups, just like Uncle Scrungus who plays Shay has done, create a forum thread or a forum post with the group's name and put resources there to be able to teach people. I know, for example, you see on servers people playing Irish characters and sometimes they are doing these horrible tropes, and thankfully we don't see that here. We don't see that weird drunk Irish man that's got nothing going on for himself and stuff. We don't see people playing black characters and talking about chicken and watermelon and all that stuff. If I ever see that, I will ban you on the spot. I'm sorry. I can't be it's again, there's no point in you to represent stereotypical tropes. How is that good for the community and how is that conducive to a healthy roleplay server? Um Racist characters. Oh my god. The fact that I
Zero
need to
tolerance policy.
talk
Period.
about
Mm.
that. Yeah, like I know we've had characters that were soldiers for the Confederates, um, and unions and stuff like that. There's a difference between having a character that was just a soldier and just served in there and having a character that has certain ideals or beliefs that would result in getting you banned. I know some of us, not even some of us, I don't even know if anybody actually does it. I know we've received reports where someone has said something or utilized a term or made a joke that can be seen as discriminatory or racist. This is a warning for everybody. If it sounds bad in terms of race, discrimination, and things like that, don't fucking say it. Don't be edgy. It's not cute. It's not fun. You'll get removed. And that's just a headache that we don't want to deal with. We don't want to deal with caricatures. We don't want to deal with people um doing things like this. I know we had to make an announcement about people utilizing the term squaw, right? You might think that sounds cool, but maybe you should do a little bit of research as to what squaw actually means before you say it. Um, I
Or maybe
know,
just don't say it.
yeah, like if you feel like you want to insult somebody, please do research as to what that term means before you say it, before you end up in a situation where you're like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that was an offensive term." Um, and you're just like, and we're just like, "Yeah, I don't know what you want us to tell you." Right? So, please don't do that. It's under our zero tolerance policy. Um,
Mhm.
even if you're just trying to crack like a little harmless joke, I know some people can say stuff in their private friend groups and stuff like that, it's a rocky, slippery slope, and stuff like that. So if you ever come to a point where you're making a joke about, oh well, yeah, something something natives, blah blah blah, or oh yeah, the Comanche are coming, blah blah, blah, don't do that type of shit. It's not cute, it's not flattering, it's stupid, and you will get in trouble for it. Yes, it
Uh,
is possible for us to have workshops for Native RP in the future as well, if people are actually interested in that.
may I add on
Mhm.
to what you said?
Yeah.
Going off of the zero tolerance policies, right? The way that I can easily, or the easiest way that I can explain it to you guys is yes, we do try to be as realistic as we possibly can. And all we can do is, if we run into it and if we find out that we have to learn from something, we learn from it, right? But as much as we try to be realistic, that doesn't mean that women aren't allowed to be doctors or lawmen or wear pants. It doesn't mean that you get to be a fucking discriminatory fucking asshole. Okay? It's still a zero tolerance policy despite us trying to be realistic. And I don't care if those types of things were something that actually happened. Okay?
Mhm. Exactly. If you've seen it in an old Western movie or something like that, you better research it before you say it. If you want to insult somebody, you don't have to bring up anyone's race. You don't have to rely on that. That is a very slippery slope. Relying on someone's race, gender, or appearance in order to. Don't get me fucking started on that shit. Don't stop, stop, stop. I don't. Public Enemy, please. Please, no. I know
I'll
who you're
mute his
talking
ass. I'll
about.
mute his ass.
Oh my
I'll mute his
god.
ass.
I know who you're talking about. Um
Oh, fuck
oh
me, dude.
god, please don't do that. Like
But
that.
yeah, no, like realistically, guys, like in back then, like women were not allowed to be doctors because it was viewed as I don't really remember what the full reasoning was, but yeah, basically if you were a woman and you were a doctor, that shit was like not
Mhm.
not normal. Um, but we aren't about that in the server. Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else you can be as realistic as you can possibly get to, but we ain't gonna touch on sexism, racism, discrimination, whatever.
Mhm. Um you touch on from that. I understand that we're an NT plus community. I understand that some of our characters have very dark histories that may have some of the content from zero tolerance stuff. I understand that. I used to be a Conan RPer. I've seen some shit, all right? So, outing myself to say that be careful when speaking about your character's backstory. First of all, some of y'all really shouldn't be giving a whole expose to people you just meet. That's just kind of weird and off-putting. First of all, second of all, be very
Mm,
careful as to the things that you are saying because there are certain implications that can really make people one not only uncomfortable but also possibly result in you having a report because of the zero tolerance policy. Even if you're not acting it out, please be careful as to the stuff that you were saying in regards to your character's backstory. Okay. Um and stuff like that. Hey, exactly. Hey, Paris, I just met you. Want to hear my story? He's like, wait, what? Huh? And then suddenly I'm sitting for like 15 minutes listening to stuff that I didn't know if I like. I no. Going from this, law, crims, and civs. I'm gonna say a couple of points based on my notes, and then I'm gonna kind of try to elaborate, and then staff can and say things, and you guys can discuss things. I know for the last 2 weeks there has been some tension. Smile. Um, law morale was hit tremendously in a very, very, very bad, deep way with some of the recent threads that cropped up about things. Perspectives on criminals were very skewed and off-putting, likely for a lot of crims. Civs sit in that weird middle ground where they're kind of being looked at sideways and stuff like that. There's been a lot of disconnect and tension between all sides, and I want to address that now so we can try to get on a common ground, which is originally the purpose of this little small meeting. First and foremost, civs are not your loot boxes. Civs are not your tool to kind of get a win out of and things like that. Civs are people, civs are characters. If you do something to a civilian or to anybody, you could face consequences. Civs, you are not immune from consequences. If you do something, if you tell the law about a criminal or a gang, if you're shit talking people, blah, 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 just because you're a civ, you're unarmed, this, and that, you can still get some consequences. They might not be as heavy as what you would get if you were a crim or at a gang, but you can still get some consequences. If you're talking or listening to the wrong stuff and relaying information, you can get consequences. Um, Crims do crime for a reason, not just because you think it's fun. OOC, have some story reason behind it. Even if the story reason is just my criminal wants to make it into the books. My criminal wants to have dime novels written about them and be rich and stuff like that. You don't have to go into the, oh well, my criminal is doing this because their mother is sick and needs medical treatment and blah blah. You don't have to go to that point, but have a reason as to why you're doing stuff. So it gives more depth to your character, not just because, oh yeah, I like crime, I pray. What then where's the character? Where's the flaws? Where's the backstory? Where's the personality? You know? Um Night, oh hi, Purple, good night. We love you. And stuff like that. Crimson Law. You are at odds, I see. Crims and civs, you are at odds, I see. Civ in law, you are at odds, I see. You are not at odds, OOC. You should never be at odds, OOC. If it gets to that point where you are angry because of an action or something that has been said to your character, and you are angry and taking that emotion and to heart, right? And taking it as a personal offense, get off the server, chill out, and reach out to that other player to discuss the bleed. Before you come to staff about it, because one of the staff, our first thing that we're going to tell you is, did you talk to the player? If you say no, we're going to advise that you talk to the player. Depending on the situation, talk to the player. We are adults. If we can talk to each other about torture roleplay perms, you could talk to people about feeling uncomfortable or feeling upset about a scene that occurred in character. Okay. And also don't play a self-insert. It's weird. You know, this isn't Second Life. There's literally a game called Second Life. Go play that instead, right?
It ain't GTA.
Exactly. We're not GTA, like relax. Do not play a Second Life. You will ruin everybody's fun and your own if you play a Second Lifer, okay? Um, let's see. Separate the negative feelings if you have an issue with pacing. If you have an issue with pacing, tell people. Some people don't understand that they have a pacing issue until you say something to them. Some people might think that, oh, a day or 2 days in between this and antagonizing these people is enough. Some people don't understand that. A lot of people their characters, the person themselves don't understand or don't know if you've been hit by like 2 or 3 other groups in a span of a week, right? And if you're getting salty with them as a result of a situation like that where, "Oh, yeah, this criminal just robbed me, but I got robbed like 3 times in a week," and you're not saying anything in character to indicate that, let them know OOC about it, okay? If you know that there's a gang that's trying to start a war with you or something like that, but you already got a conflict going on with another gang and you cannot, as a group and as a player, handle that sort of conflict both at the same time, let people know. As much as we want to try to be immersive and icy as possible, you need to communicate with people OOC so they can adapt their role playing in order to make things fun and healthy for everybody involved. Like, what's your Discord name?
Can
Let me
I
see.
insert
Yes.
a small comment there?
Mm-hmm.
Utilize statuses as well, please. Um, if someone walks up to you and your character is injured and there's no status to like, inform them that your character is injured, eh, what the fuck are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to know? Um, you can tell them, inform them, whatnot, but honestly, the status thing that we have, the script, whatever, mechanic, I don't know. Um, let's use it,
Mm-hmm.
please.
Yeah, you will be surprised how many people are willing to back down as a result of communication or seeing that your character is injured. Um, I've seen situations, or we have had players literally admit that, hey, we are doing this and we're a crime group, or I'm a criminal and I was doing this, this, and that, but I saw how overwhelmed law was, so I took a step back to give them breathing space. Those are the role
Mhm.
players that we love because they read the room, or at the very least they ask for clarification and make sure that people are comfortable and happy with the role play experience. Now I understand that some people are a little bit more sensitive than others. I understand that some people just no matter what you do, they're not going to be happy. But at the very least, if you're just trying to make that effort, then that's the most that we can ask for. Like Lucifer said, um the best part of getting RP sometimes is the mundane stuff, is the camp life, is the stuff without the action, is the evolution of personal relationships, or the infighting, or going on adventures and just doing fun stuff and kicking back and watching the sunset after falling off of a waterfall in a canoe, like it's great. Like saying loose and stuff like that. Like some of the best role play can come from not getting into action, but just having that slice of life, even if it's just for a day in between the chaos, right? People are not their characters. You may not like the behavior or the actions of a character. That does not mean that the person behind that character is mean, is a shitter, is bitchy. I know that we have gotten situations or reports or DMs or people, we know that people are talking about this person and that person, blah, 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 and they're not happy. And then when you actually talk to the person behind the character, you're just like, oh, wait, you're not an asshole? Wait, you're actually receptive to feedback, you're actually nice, what the hell, like, and you can be surprised, right? So please understand that a person's character is not who they are in real life. I know some of our characters do have qualities, that we might accidentally impose onto them, or maybe we just go, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna pull this quality out of them, or maybe I take this belief and put that onto the character too. You are not your character. Your character is not you. No self inserts. We don't like that here. Um, if you are bleeding, communicate to people first and foremost. Um, and stuff. Okay, so now that I've gone through all of those points, I'm afraid to tell the server my order was wrong. Oh, see, but you're not afraid to ask for torture perms. I'm calling you out. um, so what I'm gonna say again and reiterate is that there is this massive disconnect between law, crims, and civs. I don't know if it's because people have a certain idea as to how law roleplay should be, how civ roleplay should be, and how crim roleplay should be. What I will say is that law players have always, especially ever since Turner became the law lead, have been told to, don't just go straight for the books, right? I know we have kind of lessened the amount of leniency that law characters can give now, but we're not just trying to hit people with this, and that. We're not just trying to go for the largest charge, right? We're not just trying to go, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to hit you with aggravated battery because you got punched in the face. No, we're not just trying to give you the max time. We're also not just trying to secure this win. A lot of law take losses. Um, a lot of you guys don't see what happens behind the scenes with law. Understand that they are trying their best and that they are people too. And when there are upset feelings and any sort of bitterness that you think you feel or that you think understand that this is a result of a variety of situations compiling themselves and it becoming overwhelming. And as much as they take breaks and stuff like that, when you have to keep being faced with that stuff, it does get overwhelmed very easily. Law as well as criminals are some of the hardest roles to play to get right because your actions are directly impacting how people can play their characters. It's not like Civs where maybe you might have a little effect here or a big effect there or something like that. As a law or a criminal, your wins can severely affect someone's character to the point where maybe they might not ever be able to play that character anymore because maybe they perma, maybe they get sent to Sisika, maybe they this, and that. The losses are big, and stuff like that, but take them gracefully. If you are a crim, if you're a law player, if you're a civ, and you're more concerned with how many wins and losses you have, you need to take a step back and reevaluate some things. They are very, very difficult positions to balance out. Um, like Grace has said, you know, as law players, we want you to see beyond the badge. Understand that that is a character that has backstory and relationships, maybe a family, maybe some flaws here and there. Maybe there's a reason why that law character, is always a hard ass or not lenient or things like that. Maybe there's a reason why that doctor is more stern and bitter and cold toward people. Look beyond the role. At that same token, as a civ or law player, look beyond the bandana or the mask that a crim may wear, assuming they even wear one. Look beyond who the criminal is at face value, at least as a player, right? Understand that there is a character behind that. They're not this mechanic, they're not just this NPC in your story or things like that. Um, they are a character. Maybe I've known people that have played reformed characters or they have been crims and they have that tense conversation with law and that law person or that criminal walks away with knowledge about that other character that they never would have known if they would have just resorted to some gun violence. You know what I mean? There is more to a character than the role that they play in a server, whether it's civ, law, crim, whether it is a whitelisted job or whichever. Also in the same token, like Phantom has says, even as a crim, you don't have to always be against law. Make for everybody, there needs to be an actual reason or a story reason as to why you are against laws, crims, or civs. Don't do it just because it's cool. Don't do it just
Yeah.
because it's fun. Don't just say, "Oh yeah, I want smoke with the law and I hate law." Okay, well, why do you hate laws? And in your backstory, did they do something? Okay, but why are you applying it to the law in this county here? Oh yeah, the natives are rude and mean to me. Okay, well, why are you saying that they're rude and mean to you? What did this particular tribe do to you as a result of X, Y, and Z? Oh, I can't stand um, this person, blah blah blah. Oh, okay, did you actually have role play interactions with them, or are you just taking hearsay and utilizing that as to why you dislike someone's character and stuff like that. Have a reason beyond for everything that you do. Um let's see. To play devil's advocate, what has one side done to show that they are more than that in character? That is true, right? There are going to be circumstances where you just will never learn a character beyond the surface interactions that you have with them. There's very little times where a crim and a law person are going to talk beyond being
Oh,
in
yeah.
jail cells where they're shit talking each other or going back and forth and woo 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 this that and blah blah blah, you know. But understand again as a player that there is someone behind that screen trying to give this story, and whether you like it or not, they are trying to role play as best as they think they are, right? And this and that. So standoff
I mean, shoot.
talks, tense conversations, you know, secret meetings to where you're trying to understand who this person is, or, try to ask people, who's this person? Why do they do what they do? Or just as they're in a jail cell, just asking, why the hell are you doing this? You know, have those conversations. It's fun. There are
Mhm.
more than just civs, crims, and law. There are gray characters. Exactly. Um, which when I do say civs, I do include I am including the gray civilians as well. They're under to me they're under the big umbrella because the civ is in the name. Um, Gray characters too. They're in that stuff. You know. If you notice that a civ or someone is acting out, or maybe they're doing crime, but it's more of that secret petty crime, or it's something else, right? They're facilitating or this and that. You know, ask them what's what. Just take the time and the energy to actually learn who people are before casting judgments as a player, right? Let's see.
If anyone has seen Hutch and Geo interact with each other, Geo's not a crim that necessarily hates law. She does bad things. She's been arrested. But for one, you don't see me going around doing shit constantly. And for two, I've sat there and had actual conversations with Hutch as Geo. I've done business with him. You don't always have to hate law just to hate law. It can be fun to interact with law as a criminal and like not always be a dickhead.
hmm Exactly. Oh, also, that's a good point. Also, we do have light horsemen in the server. If you don't know what they are essentially a force amongst certain tribes that were meant to enforce tribal laws and things like that. There are rules that go into light horsemen. So if your character does something on land that is protected and enforced by light horsemen, you do have the potential to get detained until they can get a lawman present to haul you out, and stuff like that. So when someone says I'm a light horseman and they actually do have the proof to show you that and things like that, it's not just some sort of bullshit that we just kind of come up with, or they just kind of came up with and stuff that doesn't have any like bearing. It's an actually real thing. So just to make that very clear to people as well. Um, I don't really have, let's see. So I think the basic general gist of this is, in the interest of time, is to basically figure out how do we reach that common ground. I'm not asking you guys to find a solution now, but I really don't want to see us have another thread where it seems like one side is getting pinned and pointed at and blamed from this and that, and then we're having morale drops, and people not even wanting to play on the server anymore, and stuff like that. Um, I understand that we have different ideas as to what certain crime, what crim should do, civs and gray civs should do, law should do, and stuff like that. But we need you guys to understand that while we have certain ideas as to how certain things should go, please be mindful of the people behind the screen. If you have issues, talk with them OOC, but understand that people are doing things the way that they do them for a reason. And it's probably in your best interest to actually make an effort to understand why they are doing the stuff that they are doing. Um, I don't ever want to see us as a community again get to a place where we're slinging stuff at people. We're saying you don't understand this, and how could you not understand that when that's what your character does? Or oh, you guys are rude and don't know how to pace, and you don't know how to take your consequence. We don't. I don't ever want to see that type of stuff because that was a very ill time for the server, and I'm gonna be honest and transparent with you guys. There were so many times where I just wanted to close the entire thread down. In the interest of allowing people to use their voices, we kept it open and tried to monitor it as best as possible. But there was a lot of tension, a lot of negativity brewing, and it boiled over in ways that should have never done so in that thread. So I never want to see that shit again. Absolutely not. We are a community. The only way that we can survive as a community is to try our best to achieve a good balance. It's to look beyond the character and also look at the player too. It's to communicate with each other if we're having disagreements about how someone is acting or what someone is saying, or letting people know, hey, I'm not really comfortable with this, and that, or hey, you're pacing a little bit too fast for me. I'm getting very overwhelmed with this, and that. Please, um, please give me some time or space. I'm happy to role play with you. I just need, a little bit you need to go easy on me a little bit. Um, don't just paint everybody with the same brush you know um every crim is different, contrary to popular belief. Every civ is different, every gray civ is different, every law person is different. Painting everybody under the same generalized brush does nothing to address certain issues or get to the root of certain things. You don't have to agree with everybody, like Phantom has said, but at least respect them enough to not attack them, not attack their opinions and things like that. Every cheese is different, I guess, but what if it's like, cheese in like a package? Because then it's the same cheese in the package when you think about it. I don't know. Anyway, um, no, stop. Oh God. I've had Law ask my character if they hated Law just to hate Law. She said no. Exactly. Like, just because someone says I hate Law or this, and that, ask them why. You don't know if there's this heart-wrenching backstory about it. Um, but that's what I want us to do. I want us to get to this common level ground where we have the role play is fun, it's rewarding. We're not resorting to just gun violence or melee violence or just capping people. We're not just resorting to a generalized, yeah, fuck the law. Okay, well, which one? Because we got three separate, entities in law. Are you upset because of this, and that? Like, we want dynamics. We want complexity. We don't want people being assholes just because they're not happy with something that happened. I see. Um, if anyone has nothing else to add, I'm gonna start going over the questions. And just kind of go through this stuff here. So does anybody have anything to say? You all good?
I'm good.
I am good.
The doctor. I hate Law. God damn it, Ellie. Um, Ponchos. The goal with the ponchos, the dresses, the jewelry, we're trying to kind of drop that around the same time. So it's gonna take a bit. Ponchos will not be craftable. They'll basically be treated as the same as eagle flies. I can't add it to their clothing script as it is, but we're basically gonna treat the same as eagle flies, where you have the menu, choose a poncho, blah blah blah. The Spooner YMAP script, that's a dev item. I'll address that as I address it. I'm gonna be honest, guys. With the recent influx of new people, we have gotten a number of development requests, general support tickets and things like that. It is overwhelming as all hell. And given how things are set up with the dev bugs, as much help as I get, and we have had people reach out, to help with dev work and things like that. I'm just the only person that can actually implement it on the box itself. Um, so it is very overwhelming. So we're gonna kind of place a hold on any new development requests and stuff like that. In terms of because of the amount of people that we have also now, YMAP and MLO requests are on hold unless we see something that we think really deserves it, or we've seen you role play so well that we think you deserve it. If the request isn't in, don't put it in. We're just going to tell you no. It's utterly dependent on one, our server stability, and two, whether or not we even have the time, space, and the funds to do it.
To kind of piggyback off of that, just as a general reminder, because I know we have a lot of new folks here, um, we don't have an official dev at all for the server. It is Uber and me as like the actual people that are doing code shit. So please be patient with us. Please understand. We do have a testing team. If you're interested in helping out, try or and test and kind of what the fuck is the word? Spearhead getting a new feature implemented on the server. We have an application that is still open at the moment. We could always use more hands on deck, more people to fucking break shit. Um, Either put in a ticket, or you can. I'll grab the link and I'll put out another announcement here shortly regarding that. So just if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to offer your services, even if you don't have any idea what if you've never tested or you have no dev experience. We're more than happy to teach. I'm more than happy to teach. I'm sure Uber is also happy to help out, as well as our testers like Gal and Slappy have been instrumental in in testing things lately, so big thank you to both of you. um but that just please understand that we don't have like an official dedicated dev. It's just us throwing shit together with glue and tears and coffee and praying that it fucking works half the time. And if
Mhm.
it doesn't work, I we tried.
Mhm. Also, if you I know someone like DM'd me or something about Dev Word or made a ticket or something. I didn't forget you. I just forget like to respond to things sometimes. It's in my mind. I just have difficulties recalling things, and it's been very, very overwhelming the last couple of days. Very overwhelming. Like I said, we've had people reach out to offer development help and things like that, which is great. I just want to let you guys know you're not getting paid. Um, it's not in our budget at the moment to just be paying people willy-nilly. Um, and even like
Yeah.
sometimes I try to avoid because the dev that we work with at times fixing certain scripts, he's very fair in his pricing, and we've been working together for a couple of since the start of 2.0, maybe even a little bit before that actually. So, um, yeah. So just keep that in mind that this is a labor of love and you're not gonna really make money off of it. Looking at the next question. How would the group limit preferably be addressed in a role play scenario? So if you are in a scenario where you are more than four people, um, before you go out, just kind of let folks know, hey, this is who's gonna be our shooters. All right, this is who's gonna be involved in any sort of conflict that we get involved in. Try to do it in advance. However, if there is a situation where things are getting messy or weird, and you're not in a place where you can communicate, hey, get up here, blah blah blah, or stuff like that. If you can have a character peel away and talk in a low voice to other people of hey, you, go peel off. Um, Try to do that. Otherwise, tell people, or otherwise just take it upon yourself to remove yourself from a situation until you guys see that there are four people only involved in a situation. Don't try to have that weird little, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait shit out and blah 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 because I don't want to miss out on a gunfight, or oh I should be in this situation and blah blah blah. Like take one for the team and remove yourself from the situation, because if we have another report about people getting involved in a situation over with more than four people without having like the proper permission, It's a warning, 1 day ban. It just depends on the infraction of it. If you want to have a tussle or something with more than 4 people, open a ticket about it. If it's like a standoff with law or gang versus gang or something like that, open a ticket about it. Bows with dual wield revolvers. Bows, I don't really count bows at ooh, that's a mm, mm,
I would consider it a long arm,
yeah, probably. Bows are lethal
personally.
as shit too. They are very
If you
deadly.
are dual wielding, you should not have anything else on your back, period.
Yeah, that's a yeah. Oh, writing more than 4 people to intimidate another group into giving up conflict. Please don't do that too. Um, please don't try to ride around in a show of force if you know that you can only give 4 people into a situation. That's just kind of weird. It's not that it may not necessarily be a power gaming because you can only use 4, but if you're just trying to like be Billy badass and stuff, it's just kind of like why are you just trying to big dick even though you can only have 4 people involved in the situation? Like, like y'all good. If you're gonna run around and do some crime, you can only take the 4 people with you. If you're riding around with the intent to rob a bank, rob people, kidnap people, or beat on some other people because you got some conflict with them, you can only ride in 4. If you're riding around just because you're just hanging out, going out with friends, or going to an event or something like that, then it's fine. 'Tis a stick with a string. Oh God. Um, is there a way we can encourage law to take statements over telling people to just send a statement via Telegram? I get a written statement would be better, but it cuts out RP. I get laws burned. I really do as a firmer law recruit on here and other servers. Will advice on that, I guess. Um, I
I
mean,
know
right.
that we've.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm
Oh
sorry,
no,
go
you
ahead.
can go. You can go.
I was gonna say we have talked about it before in law meetings. I do agree with it. However, I do also not agree with it just because me personally, I've worked it both ways. I do prefer people write it themselves because I'm not gonna lie to you, I've sat and taken someone's statement for 2 fucking hours. And like, cool, great, it's RP, but it was 2 hours. Um, I kind of keep it up to discretion and dependent on the situation. If there's like a million people that I gotta get statements from, I'm probably gonna tell them to write it. If it's like one person, I really don't mind sitting down with them. Um, I think it just kind of depends.
Yeah. Like I just said to Shay, if you're writing with the intent of conflict, try to keep it at 4. I know that if you are writing with more than 4 people and a situation happens, those people can pick you guys up, but they cannot re-engage into a situation, right? And they should not be trying to re-engage and quote unquote, like you got people should not be trying to re-engage with them if they're trying to pick up people, like just let them pick them up, take them out of the scenario, blah, blah, blah. Written statements can help with the load of work. Sometimes things are very insane, right? If we have a situation where we need to get statements from 7, 8, 9 people. I know my
I ain't gonna
character
be sitting there all night.
exactly. I know that my character, what it was like it was a saloon situation in Strawberry. And there were like 4 people that had witnessed the same thing. So she basically had them she just took the statement as a big chunk of a story and just say, look, these people witnessed the same thing. The story's the same. So I'm not going to write 4 separate things. I'm just going to write it as one big statement. If you can do that, that's one way to solve that issue. Um, but otherwise, if there's no real discrepancy between information, then go from there, you know? Um, then kind of just put it all in one chunk. But if there's like way too many people involved in the situation and we have to get all statements, we can't just get a select few, then yeah, written statements are going to help us a lot. Um, and stuff. So that is something like I understand in the mind of it's in the mind of like trying to open up more RP and stuff like that, but sometimes it's just not really necessarily feasible, especially if it's only one law person that's actually taking the statements. Um and stuff like that. Um let's see. As one of the shy people who think socializing is scary as fuck, how can I, as a player, meet others to where I can make more friends or get to know more people, which also helps the social anxiety? And is there a way for players to help those of us who struggle to warm up and get comfortable in a social situation? Um, Events are one of your biggest things. If you can get to an event, usually if people see, especially depending on the sort of event or who's hosting the event. Some people might just approach you because you're by yourself or you're alone, you're not really talking to somebody. Um, if you are very shy, make an excuse to go see a player in a service position, such as a horse trainer, a gunsmith or a blacksmith, or a train conductor. If you're not familiar with those people, just because you want to have an excuse to talk to them, that is a very good way to kind of meet people and make friends. Um, you know, talk to Nakaruka exactly, and stuff like that. If you see people just standing around, say, "Hey, how you doing?" and just kind of like ask them a question, make an excuse to create a dialogue and see if you can build off of that. Sometimes you might not really get anything beyond a, "Yeah, I'm doing great. How about you?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then that might just be that. But at least you're making the effort or you're trying. You know what? You never know what can build off of that. If you heard about some gossip, maybe you find an excuse to ask somebody, "Hey, did you hear about so on and so forth?" And that creates this dialogue that you guys can kind of bounce off of. Remember, it is 1899. So if you want to reference some real life events and use that as a jump off point, go ahead and do that. That can definitely help you create this dialogue and kind of break the ice for people. If you're too scared to go to events. So make an excuse to talk to some service people or, just make some references to things, ask, "Hey, how you doing?" And, as more people, sometimes people will say hey to you for a couple of days ago. We always say hi to each other, but we've never actually talked. Who are you? What's your name? Stuff like that, you know? And so on and so forth. Does taking an action that you know will result in serious injury count as self-harm, thus be against the rules? Brex, that is you. Because I guess it also
Feel like
depends on
I
what it
need a little more
is.
information.
Yeah, because it's like if
Like, it really depends on what it is and what you mean because that's
yeah.
a little vague.
Yeah, it depends.
Um,
Like if you're taking like a trip in a canoe on like the rapids, that's not considered self-harm. So
y yeah, I don't know. It really depends.
you could
I may
stand
need a
next
little bit more context on that one.
you could stand next to a horse's
Um,
ass to get yourself an introduction to medical. Jesus Christ. Like jumping off of something equals self-harm. Reckless actions that your character is confident they can survive does not. There we go. That's a good thing. If your character knows or if you're doing it with the intent to harm them, that is self-harm. If your character is just being reckless, doesn't give a fuck, or they think they're gonna come out unscathed, or or because with that same logic, you can use the logic of shootouts, right? If you, if I'm getting in the shootout, I know I'm gonna get hurt. Is that self harm? So it really just like depends on the situation, and stuff. Um, so that's a tricky one. Yeah, we're gonna need more context with something like that. So if you can kind of like build off of that, Trina, that would be great. Um, any chance of making the inventory rearrangeable? That is a Vorp thing. Now I don't know if he's adjusted that yet because I have yet to actually officially update the inventory script due to some compatibility issues with the script as it stands in terms of like the newer stuff. I don't know if you can do that with the new iteration of the inventory script yet, but that is a warp thing, so I can't really touch that. Someone could, but I'm not gonna touch it because I'm gonna fuck something up. Having jobs pay every hour a little bit like an hourly wage. We do have that only for certain jobs. Those jobs are medical, judge, law,
Well,
and I think that's it. Everything else is a gig-based, commission-based industry. Um, and that's how it's just gonna stay. Right now.
because technically those are government paid jobs, quote unquote.
Um, can we hold a workshop for native RP in the future? Yeah, if people are interested and will actually come, we can definitely do that. Um, hopefully people will come to that, but I know some people think that they know everything there is to know about native RP, or they don't really care for any lessons or critique about it. This isn't a jab at anyone. This is literally just my observations and based on the conversation that I had with somebody else in a different Discord actually last night regarding native roleplay. It's just something that if people want to be taught, they will be taught, but some people just really don't care to know. They don't really care to learn more. Um, and this is not just native, not just native RP, but other forms of indigenous RP, whether you're native to America or not, Romani people and travelers and things like that. Like some people just don't care. They think they know everything so we could definitely look into doing that, and hopefully people who are interested in playing native characters but are too anxious to do it come in and stuff like that. But we could definitely look into doing that. Um can we hold on.
He's
I gotta
talking about clicks.
okay.
Mhm.
Oh, did you want to say something?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen or heard of any issues with clicks here. I know you mentioned that you haven't seen it here. And yes, I know it kills servers. I've seen it happen myself. However, I will say like it hasn't really mattered what character I'm on. I've had scenes where like I'm trying to not talk to anybody and people walk up to me. Um So, I mean, if you do find yourself having an issue with people just pushing other people out that aren't a part of their group, let us know. And we can make an announcement or even talk to people or have a mediated conversation. But me personally, I haven't really seen it. I don't know if anyone else has.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna
Um
chime in
mhm.
off of that as well. For the most part, like Prax said, our community is pretty heavily curated. We have a very high standard of RP that we maintain here, and all of our RPers are really, really good from what we've all experienced, and that's something that it's a bit of a proud point for us. So click behavior is something that we have had issues with in the past before 1.0, but it is since taken care of itself, I would say. And anybody you'll come across for the most part will absolutely be willing to bring you in. I know there are several different groups that exist at the moment that you turn up and you say, "Hey, I'm new to state." They will just fucking adopt you. Like you don't get a choice in that. If you're the first person, if they're the group that finds you first, you're just part of them now. Like that's just how it is.
You're
So,
kidnapped.
um, like that, people here understand that we have a big influx of new people coming in, and we are all of us. I think I can speak for all of us when I say this, and we are all very eager to get to RP with everybody.
I will say, based on what Raptor just said, also, there definitely is a difference between click mentality and coming versus coming in and saying, "Oh yeah, you guys already got a group. I don't want to interrupt you guys. I got anxiety, etc., etc." Sometimes people genuinely maybe that character's having a bad day. I know people have come into a server after some really serious roleplay scenes have happened, and maybe you're trying to interact with that group but because of some recent stuff that happened that you don't know about, they are very standoffish. They can be very cold, bitter, and mean. But it's not because they don't want to RP with you or because it's a clique. It's because you don't know the context of the situation. And it also depends on how you are approaching people as well. If you're approaching people as an asshole, if you're just sitting there standing around, not talking to people or not trying to interact with them, don't necessarily think that people are going to just go out of their way to interact with you as well, or that they're not going to be put off by your behavior and or their character's not going to be put off by your behavior and stuff like that. If you're a crim, let Josie adopt you. Oh God. Exactly. Like a lot of people get kidnapped into friend groups. It's a really heartwarming thing. Um, let's see.
Uh,
Badge prop. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Trita added to
Oh,
her
yes.
question. So she said, such as jumping off a building to escape confinement. Um,
Mm.
in that situation, I wouldn't
Mm.
really say so, but I would expect you as a player to know that you're gonna be doing injury RP. Um, Usually when I think of self-harm RP, I'm talking um how do I say this? Doing Having your character do something uh wow, I can't find the words for this. I think Trita was around when we had this conversation for medical. If you're doing like drug addiction and it leads to your character's demise and it is like blatantly abused by that character, that's kind of when it becomes a problem, because that's kind of where we enter the realm of we can set people off, um and stuff like that. If you are actively trying to escape confinement and you somehow happen upon a roof, um or whatever, and if your character's like kind of, cornered and they feel that's the only way, um I wouldn't really consider that self-harm RP, but also depending on the building that they jumped off of, there's probably a high chance that like your character's not going to survive that shit. So I guess I just kind of expect you as a player to kind of dictate yourself in terms of, hey, I just fell off of the tallest building in fucking Saint Denis. I'm probably not going to live through this type thing.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I probably
Mhm.
worded that really, really badly, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, if you're trying to deliberately harm yourself, then yeah, that's a thing. That's where it gets like, okay, no. But if your character's just being reckless and it's not like a deliberate thing, then, yeah.
Just have consequences
Um,
for your character.
could we get a badge prop for Light Horseman? I'm not sure yet. Like I said, dev requests are just gonna be on hold for now until we can catch up on a lot of stuff, address a lot of bugs. The clothing script as it currently stands is um locked. So, for example, with the eagle flies and the new clothing, we have to utilize them as menus or actual items just because of um just because they are um God, how do I say this? We basically have to utilize them as items simply because they can't be added into the clothing store due to how the developer has set up the clothing store script. Um and so maybe it just depends on after I get a handle of a lot of stuff to see what's within our realm of possibilities and such. Is there any intention of allowing newspapers, weapons, or other custom items being placed in market stalls? So for guns, we used to be able to have that possibility. I did the way that the script was set up though before we had to, kind of default the script back to its regular settings, is because it was set to red MRP stuff. So there was a capability to be able to put weapons into the market stalls before, but they couldn't be customized at all. Otherwise, the customization would revert because of the metadata not being able to be read. And metadata is basically the data that is used to customize certain items. So if you have like a book from the printing press, for example, that uses metadata. If you have a customized gun that uses metadata. Um,
Sorry.
and stuff like that. So that was a thing that was possible, but because of metadata being unable to be read, they just revert to a blank slate or a blank canvas. So if you put a book in there, it's not going to be able to actually be purchased with all the information that was actually in it. I'm not sure if that's possibly fixed. If anything, and I can always ask the developer of the printing press if he can make it so that it's possible to buy books that have already been made by people, but that's up to him to be able to put in. As far as adding guns to market stalls, I can see if somebody can look into figuring out how to convert that from the previous script or how to fix that up so that it is possible to do that. Um, what it's doing is that it's just calling items, but it's not calling or having a section for actual weapons. So that's the big issue with that. So that's something we have to figure out. But it's definitely on, my kind of like radar and stuff. But other custom items, they definitely would not be able to be put into a market stall just because of the way that the script is with handling data information for customized things. One thing about larger groups, if you have picked your four to fight, are all else allowed to look on or should they move on completely? Either or. If people are going to look on and stick around just enough so that they can pick up people or have some story to tell people, go far away. I want you beyond the 32 meters. You don't need to be up super close to watch the scenario unfold. You can watch it just fine with your binoculars. You don't need to hear people talk. All right. Because what you need to do is ensure that it cannot be confused that you guys are more than four, because we have had situations like that happen and it gets really, really weird. Um, like if you're crims, if you're a criminal group and you have a situation with law, um, if crims win a law shootout and try to kidnap the deputy, should the rest not get involved even if they're witnessing it? That's where it gets that's where it gets kind of messy. Um, because why do you need to do that? Because at that point you are now, and while it could be in the interest of story, you are now getting into that place of engaging with the with
The other group.
potentially the other group, because they're not just gonna let you do that. As much as we
Right.
want role play over rule play, you need to tread carefully with that. Um, because you could technically force someone's hand, and if they open a ticket on you because they didn't, you didn't talk to them beforehand, or, after the scene was done, you didn't reach out to them about it, even though the other party was okay. There was a slash OOC, hey, can I kidnap you? And they're just like, yeah. But the other group doesn't know that, when they engage with you, you've kind of forced their hand and to being in a second wave versus re-engagement scenario. Um,
Because
and stuff.
within law, defending self-defense is also defense of others.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So,
So you tread very closely to that re-engagement. Um,
mm-hmm.
I think it's best to just kind of keep the mentality of, hey, if something happens, who's gonna be the ones to pick us up? Um, you know, when everything's said and done, if there needs to be retaliation, lick your wounds, continue the story and pace it out.
So
You
say
you
it's
can kidnap motherfuckers later.
so say it's crim versus law. At what point would trying to break the crims out be acceptable if the crims get got? We don't have any rules. Now let's say this. At least beyond Cisco, we don't have any rules about breaking people out of county jails. Of course, if you break those people out and they've been hold hold on one second. If you've broken those people out and they've been encapped, they are one going to be tied into that 24-hour rule unless they have to defend themselves. But if you get like another 2 or 3 people to try to break them out, um that's not against the rules. Just tread very carefully that those who were incarcerated are not re-engaging in the scene, especially if they actually got put down by law. But you just need to be very careful, and stuff like that. So, just don't immediately try to do it. Like don't just come in and stuff like that. Like make a plan about it, because if anything, you're probably gonna have an hour or 2 hours of medical RP processing. If they have to get transported to Sisika, there's that too, unless they're serving county jail and stuff. But no one has done anything like that. So it's one of those things. Well, nope, that's a lie. That's a lie. Wait. However, it was only like, what is it? It was like 1 or 2 people that was in the cells at the time, and the rest of their gang members came in. So we've only had like one situation like that. So definitely just kind of tread carefully with that in terms of like making sure it's planned and makes sense. And that those who were in jail are not re-engaging in the scene. With scenes, can you place a scene down involving one of your characters as another character? The specific character wouldn't be involved in the scene, but just wondering for location purposes. You can always go into further detail to ticket if that's better. If you are unable to put a scene down for a situation, due to just time, or people are coming and you don't want to be seen or try not to get caught and stuff like that. Um, I know staff have offered ourselves to be able to put scenes down for people, but it gets very messy and gets very annoying as well, because it's like, did you even try? So, if you do happen to want to place scenes down like a few hours later or a day later on a different character at that area without being suspicious, then I have no issue with that. But you can.
Actually,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
we've had issues with people doing that before, and when we had scene logs, and then we've had to talk to people about putting scenes down for their crim character on their main character, and then like seeing it in the logs. I don't know if you remember this situation.
I feel like I think I know. It's just with that is it's a bit funky because we have had it to where oh god, we have had it to where like we as staff try to offer that option, but it I can't tell it we can't tell if people are taking advantage of it or they're just not trying. And it can just get very overwhelming when we have about literally 10 to 12 other tasks to address and do and stuff. If anything, later on, go back as that character and put the scenes down yourself. If you really, really, really can't do it, then ask staff, but that is your last resort. Um, so yeah, if you can't go back at all as the original character just for the sake of putting down scenes, um, then ask staff as a very last resort. But
Sorry. Shit.
yeah, try to avoid doing it as another character.
Ewan asks, would you prefer we ask staff to make scenes over using a different character to put those scenes down?
Yeah, basically. Um, yeah, because thinking about the last situation, it might not work if you do it as an alt because it just gets messy. Is there a possibility of establishing a police department for the city of Saint Denis and giving them uniform style clothing with the script? I know the first part is something that is a law discussion mainly, but I'd love to have the ability, if it occurs, for those that want to do it, to wear something of a uniform instead of looking like a dude straight out of an old West movie with a badge, pen, and a duster. If so, would staff want to see more RP surrounding this, or how would it be going about? Ooh. I would say definitely talk to Turner about that one. I know the law meeting is tomorrow, so we can definitely talk about that. That is something that we as staff can talk about. Honestly, it would also depend on the amount of people in Saint Denis. If we were to go that route, the amount of role play that is actually there, the population, and things of that nature, as well. We would want to actually see there to be a reason to have to, utilize uniforms or things like that. Um, is law allowed to step in? Ooh, my voice. Is law allowed to step in after a 4 versus 4 fight, or would that technically make a 4v8? So with that, do you mean like law versus crims, and then yeah, you can comment on that, Slappy. Well, in text or which one? Because either. Let me go on to that point, and then actually, let me just. Are you able? I'll just bring you up real quick so you can talk, and then I'll kick you back out. Come on, come on, get up here, get on up.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi guys. So we actually just talked about a scenario like this because of something that happened the other day. So TLDR, if it is a 4 versus 4, like let's say one group is fighting another group, law is more than likely 9 times out of 10, unless we somehow get drug in with like side fire, we're gonna just sit off to the side and we're gonna watch and we're just gonna pick up. So whoever wins is gonna get to go away, and we're probably gonna throw warrants. And whoever's downed, well, we're gonna have some fun in the cells. So we're gonna adopt a GTA mindset for anybody who's seen GTA. Basically, we'll let you duke it out, we'll let you have your fun, and then we're gonna pick up the pieces.
But you still have consequences.
There still will be consequences, but we'll watch. We'll bring popcorn. Don't worry. We'll have our fun too.
Now, what if the other group doesn't want law to pick them up? Well,
Too bad.
Shit
I
out of luck.
mean, yeah.
well, it's a fight to whoever gets to pick them up, I guess. Like round two.
Well,
Like
that's where you step into re-engagement, though.
exactly. That's a tricky slope because it's like, well,
If you
is
lost, you lost. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wait, which
Fucking
which
duke it
group
out
though?
later.
Which group? Is it the group that got down, or is it the other group that won and wants to take the group that got down?
That's actually a really good question.
People have respect for despicable.
Oh God. We just like oh God. Two law groups fighting over who gets the pickup.
You know what? We're gonna go in the dev box. We're gonna give everyone tester perms, and we're gonna record that just so you can see it, because it probably wouldn't actually happen in server. But hey,
Oh
it sounds like a
God.
great cinematic.
Looks like
Uh,
they expanded on it, saying like if they know they are wanted and don't want law to pick them up, and would just take them to a doctor or something.
Mm,
hmm.
that's a tough one because
Oh God, I think back to
as
many scenarios in other servers.
yeah. So honestly, like when it comes to the law side, like if you're talking 4 versus 4, Group A, we'll have Group A, Group B. Let's say Group B goes down, Group A leaves. They've got 3 of their own. One of theirs goes down. We'll let Group A probably take their one injured, because at that point it could just be a re-engage or whatever. We will let them scurry off because again we can identify, do warrants, whatever, extend that RP. Group B, however, since all 4 of them are down, we will get you all doctors, pick you up, and go from there. Now, if you have additionals in your group that are say watching, they could wait for us to treat you, try to get you guys out of cells, things like that. Um, Yes, there's opportunities after that, but, we'd probably come in and get that. I'd say wait for, like, doctor's medical, at least personally.
Is it fair to say that just you don't have to react immediately if
Mhm.
in that situation? Like
Mhm.
if you are on the outside watching the rest of your group get gunned down and you see law coming in to pick them up, uh you don't need to immediately go in. You,
Yeah.
and
We
you
don't need a
shouldn't.
dick swing all the time.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
you definitely shouldn't. Like wait like give them some breathing space to
Mhm.
process people for medical to come in. Sometimes med people may not be in the area that they're in and they have to come from across the map from 10 15 minute ride from wherever they're at. Like just give it time. Pacing is imperative for everybody.
Or or they could take a page out of, and I'm gonna pull this from Wild, the Wallaby Kids book, and create a lot of tension in the cells, walking up, whistling, and this, that, and the other. That's also a fun thing to do to Law, is just make that tension there just by presence. Not doing anything, but just presence. Yes, the whistling, Trina. I can tell you how many times my blood has run cold OOC because I'm on Hutch on Wild, and all of a sudden I hear that dang whistle. Oh, oh.
Oh God, yeah, fuck with
Yeah, absolutely, like,
get
fuck
some
with us, give us
tension.
tension, please. Don't come in, guns blazing, give us some kinda tension, you know? Throw some whistles, knock on a back door, make us paranoid.
Mhm, mhm. Hell yeah.
Once again, we don't always need gunplay.
Tension RP better anyway.
Yeah. All
But
right, I
I
think
would agree, like for if for whatever reason you decide that you absolutely need your one person that went down, I would say the law is most likely going to take the group that is all down, take care of them first, and go after the rest of y'all's asses later. But it
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be, you guys absolutely have to get your guy. Oh my god. Like, I get that it makes sense, but, you know, sometimes you can sit there and say, let's cut our losses. There's been
Predator
enough
animal
bloodshed.
spawns. A rework of the predator animal spawns. Oh, wolves. Yeah, fuck wolves. Um, oh god. Was that all, Slappy? We good? Kick it out.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right,
I've
Banish
thrown
him.
I've thrown my 2 cents onto that for y'all.
Slappy,
banished.
love
It's
you.
perfect timing because we just had that talk. Alright, banish me, bye, thank you. I'm waiting. Gee.
I love you so. To get the comedian cut off. I think we pretty much answered all of their questions at this point. Um, and we've gone on about 2 hours. So I always say I'm trying to have a quick conversation, talk, but it never is quick. So now you guys can go get on the server, be chaotic gremlins. Um, but again, this was just to kind of level set with the community, especially newer players about our standards and things of the nature. I will upload this to our YouTube channel, so it can be referred to later on. And other than that, let's just try to build a great community and continue to build a great community. Let's try to, yeah, you can DM me after. Let's try to be balanced and role play beyond everything else. Let's role play for the health of the server. Let's role play over guns. Let's role play over fist and melee weapons and things of that nature. Let's pace ourselves, slow burn it out, give us that tension, give us that spice. Look beyond each other careers as characters or badges or masks or things like that. Communicate with each other before you try to get staff involved in the situation. Um and yeah, other than that, I think we are pretty much all set, you guys. Gonna make me go up 8 octaves. Oh God. Don't be afraid to do some saloon brawls. Don't just do guns. Like freaking brawl it out. Let's go get some good old fist fights. Jump me. Okay, please. No, please. Do more fist fights and knife fights instead of just executing somebody just because you can, because it's shitty and it's sucky when that's all you do. If you ain't got hands, just say it. Um, we appreciate you, Lark. I appreciate the team behind me. We're all squishes. We're little squishies, and we're gonna do great. Also, thank you to whoever donated. Also, if you have donated to the server and you don't have a supporter role, please make sure to open a ticket with proof of that donation so we can get you situated with that. Other than that, can you donate head pats? Well, I don't have my wig on right now, therefore I cannot accept head pats. But when I get my dog tomorrow, he could take hit pets. He's like, what? Ah. so, yeah.
Just
Moving on. Moving on.
I
Uber.
literally can't.
I don't know why that got me so bad.
I like
Oh,
wigs. I'm sorry.
oh my god.
Hey, I gotta go wash it too. That thing getting a little dry.
Uh, I did just put out an announcement for testing team. If people are interested, feel free to fill out that form that's there. Again, even if you don't have experience with doing dev or dev adjacent testing things for RedM, feel free to fill it out. We are more than happy to teach. If you have any questions, open support ticket. Please don't fucking DM us. Please. Just it is so prone to getting lost in DMs. I like Uber will look at a message and then just not respond because I'm busy and then I'll forget about it. So please open a ticket so that it is there and it is being checked on. Even if you don't get a response right away, we know that it's there. Whoever just opened a new ticket, thank you. It was very well timed.
Get away from my hair pants.
Raptor, I will annihilate you.
Not on my bingo card. Oh god.
I will RDM Mr. Parsnip on site the next time I log on Jane.
Yeah,
Immediately.
that's crazy.
Anyway, I'm gonna hop out. Thank you all.
Yeah,
Bye.
you
Yep,
guys
same
are
for
great.
myself.
Get on the
Thank you
server,
all.
guys. We love you. Thank you.
See you on the server.
You sound so enthusiastic.
Absolutely.